Joe V is visiting a new museum dedicated to the art of puppetry. He joins us live from Southeast Portland with the details. Joe?
Yeah, good morning, Pete. It is a museum with plenty of strings attached. We're going to take you inside Ping Pong's pint-sized puppet museum. That's straight ahead on Good Day Oregon, first live local.
We are on the go with Joe, and today his guests have the world on a string. Joe is spending the morning at a new museum dedicated to the art of puppetry, and he joins us live from Southeast Portland with more. Joe?
Good morning, Pete. Yes, I'm joined right now by Marty Richmond and Steve Overton. Good morning to both of you gentlemen. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fine. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having us. We're here at Ping Pong's pint-sized puppet museum. Big idea and a bigger name. Now, tell us about it. You're professional puppeteers based here in Portland, and you have now a museum that's open dedicated entirely to puppetry.
That's absolutely right, Joe. This is the first Oregon puppet museum ever.
There's only 3 in the country, you were saying.
Three in the country.
This is one of them, right?
One in Georgia, one in Seattle, and now Oregon has its first.
Now, this has been your workshop, and you've been making puppets here professionally for 20 years in this location. But earlier this year, you turned it into a museum. Why? Why a museum dedicated to puppetry?
Well, we've often wanted to do a museum, and we figured once we'd finished the film, we have this big empty studio. Well, it's not big. That's why we call it pint-sized. But it's a beautiful studio, and we have 700 puppets, Joe. So we decided that we would show them here in Oregon. And
people can also learn about how you make the puppets, too,
they can learn how we make the puppets. They can make their own puppets. They can watch puppet shows here.
Very cool. So where are you located? Where's Ping Pong's pint-sized puppet museum?
It's in the South District of Portland, called the Selwood area.
Yeah, sure.
Right across the Selwood Bridge on 9th and Umatilla.
Okay. For more information, your website, I understand, is puppetmuseum.com, which is pretty easy to remember.
That's it.
I love it.
Simple as that.
Now, throughout the morning, we're going to show you their collection. They have some really cool and historic puppets. We're going to show you how they create some of these puppets, and a lot more to come. Ping Pong, say goodbye to the folks. We'll have more coming up in just a bit. Back to you, Pete.
Okay, Joe. If that's really you in there.
We're on the go with Joe, and look out, Kermit and Miss Piggy. Today, Joe was learning all about puppets. Joe joins us live from Southeast Portland, where he's visiting a new museum dedicated to the art of puppetry. Hi, Joe.
Hey, good morning, Kim. Yes, back with Steve Overton at Ping Pong's pint-sized puppet museum, which, as you said, opened just earlier this year in the Selwood area. And you are a functioning studio to build puppets, but you have this museum, and you've got different exhibits that you kind of rotate throughout the year, correct?
Right.
And this is the exhibit that you have right now, and these are the puppets of Asia. Tell me about this exhibit.
These are the puppets of Asia. The ones we have right in front of us are actually from Indonesia, and these are called wayang golek, or mean rod puppet worked with sticks. The one I'm holding right here is a god of lightning, and will go, hi, and shock you. He's one of the defenders of the good people on earth, and will fight the demons for you.
Now, you were telling me puppetry goes back thousands of years, right?
Thousands and thousands of years. The oldest puppets we know of were 4,000 years old from Egypt, and the other ones go probably about 2,000 to 3,000 years from India.
Now, there's various types. This is a shadow puppet, shadow puppets, is that correct?
This is a shadow puppet.
Okay.
And, Joe, most of the shadow puppets are built of water buffalo. This is water buffalo hide. So they're leather, all right? And they're worked, again, also with little rods. When you put them against a white screen, they will project a dark shadow. So there was generally fire behind the screens. Nowadays, they use halogen lights so they can get a bigger screen and more projection for people. Traditionally, it was always fire with little metal reflectors. But this is a very standard one of the hotter characters because of his red face.
And I thought this was really cool. You're a pint-sized museum, but you've still got some cutting-edge stuff. You've got these little QT scan things. So if you scan that, you can see on your phone kind of what these puppets look like during an actual performance, right?
And those are from the actual country the puppet is from.
Very cool.
It would be an Indonesian puppet or an India puppet or a Japanese puppet.
Very nice. So they're located, well, tell us where you are, just on the other side of the Selwood Bridge, on the east side, correct?
Just right across the Selwood Bridge on 9th.
Okay.
So,
and their website, puppetmuseum.com, pretty easy to remember. Steve, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Kim, we're going to have a lot more very cool stuff to show you a little bit later in the show. Back to you.
Yeah, very educational and interesting. Thank you, Joe.
Today, Joe V is learning all about the art and history of puppetry. He joins us live from a new museum that's opened in Southeast Portland. Ready to pull some strings there, I'd imagine, Joe?
Yeah, good morning, Pete. And check it out. Coming up next, we're going to meet some true legends of the puppeting world here at the Ping Pong Pint-Sized Puppet Museum. Say that 5 times fast. You're watching Good Day Oregon, first, live, local.
the Go with Joe, and today Joe's not pulling our leg, but maybe pulling some strings. He joins us live from a new museum that's dedicated to the art of puppetry. Joe, what's happening?
And I just love saying the name of Ping Pong's pint-sized puppet museum located here with Steve Overton, once again, learning about the art and the history of puppetry. And speaking of history, we have some historically significant puppets with us right now, Steve. We're going to talk about some of the very first puppets that were ever on television. People out there have heard of the Howdy Doody show. These guys come from the Howdy Doody show, right?
That's right. That's correct. They were made by Frank Paris, who was a very famous vaudeville and big production marionette artist in the United States. And he brought his Adventures of Toby Tyler to New York, and that is why Howdy Doody has a circus theme. These were the first two puppets ever seen on NBC for 6 months on the Howdy Doody show.
1947, was it?
1947.
And this was another kids' puppet show, right?
Another kids' puppet show, but let's go to the West Coast, to San Francisco. This one, the Turkey Vulture, is from Brother Buzz.
Also from the late 40s and early 50s.
Late 40s
and
early
then
50s.
we have two other fellows right here that a lot of viewers will probably recognize. This is Lamb Chop. We all know Lamb Chop. Tell me the story.
From Sherry Lewis.
And she gave you this. Sherry Lewis gave me this. Lamb Chop here.
I saw Sherry Lewis at Disneyland, and she was performing and doing her stand-up routines and comedy. And Sherry, of course, was the first ventriloquist woman and comedian to really hit big time in television. I told Sherry I love Lamb Chop, and she said, "You know what? Here, have one."
And last but not least, from the Ed Sullivan Show, this is Topo Gigio.
This is one of the Topo Gigios right here.
Okay, who was Topo Gigio for our younger viewers?
Topo Gigio was a little Italian mouse that used to run around in his little nightgown and say, "Good night, Eddie."
Well, we're going to say good night for now because we're out of time, but puppetmuseum.com is their website. You can come out, check out their collection right here. They're in the Selwood District. For more information, just head to their website. Pete, this is your chance with Topo Gigio to dust off your Ed Sullivan impersonation. It's going to be a really big shoe. You know that, right? More to come later in the show.
Some really big ears there.
Joe V is visiting a new museum dedicated to the art of puppetry. He joins us live from Southeast Portland with details. Joe, this has been so interesting this morning.
Yeah, good morning, Kim. To quote that old song, we've got the world on a string here at the Ping Pong Pint-Sized Puppet Museum. We're going to take you there coming up on Good Day Oregon, first live local.
Today, Joe V is learning all about the art and history of puppetry. He joins us live from a new museum that is open in Southeast Portland. Hey there, Joe.
Hey, good morning, Pete. Yes, we're learning all the ins and outs of the unique art form of puppetry at a very cool new museum that is open here in the Rose City. We're going to take you there coming up next on Good Day Oregon, first live local.
We are on the go with Joe, and today his guests have the world on a string. Joe is spending the morning at a new museum dedicated to the art of puppetry, and he joins us live from Southeast Portland with more. Joe?
Thank you very much, Pete Ferryman. Yes, we are at the Ping Pong's Pint-Sized Puppet Museum right here in Southeast Portland. It is a dedicated museum, one of only 3 in the country, just recently opened here in Portland, dedicated to the art and history of puppetry. Here's the gentleman behind it, Steve Overton. Come on over this way.
I'll get you, my little pretty, and your dog, too.
Oh, boy. Now, Steve is a professional puppeteer, and for 20 years, this has been your studio where you've created all sorts of puppets, but you've now opened it to the public where they can come and learn about puppets. First of all, before we get into these two individuals,
yes,
tell us about the whole idea on the museum, the Puppet Museum here.
Well, the idea was to actually share the extraordinary puppets that we have in our collection, and also to inform people this is a real museum. Inform them on how many puppets are worldwide, what kind of movies puppets are in. Like Lion King was one giant puppet show.
Yeah, there you go.
Yoda was a puppet.
And these are 2 of your larger puppets. What kind of puppets are these?
These are called Broadway-style puppets.
Broadway, okay.
These puppets actually attach to you. So when you are moving your feet and your legs and your arms, the puppets are doing everything you are doing, or you are doing everything the puppets are doing.
And this was for what? Production you did, right?
This was for a giant production of Mardi Gras in Oz, which was the entire movie of Wizard of Oz done as a rock opera in 27 minutes.
All right. And so for the movements, like, show me how you would make the Wicked Witch move there.
Well, the Wicked Witch, for instance, has just a skirt on it, but if I want to fly her on a broom, what I do is tuck the broom in, stick her hand on here, hike her skirt up slightly, and just give her a twirl around the block.
Oh, very nice. And then for the scarecrow, you know, in the movie, he's kind of all over the place. So
he's got to be flimsy, so you have to be floppy. There you go. A little wobbly here, a little wobbly there.
If I only had a brain. Ladies and gentlemen, the Ping Pong Pint-Sized Puppet Museum, now open here. It's in the Selwood neighborhood, and they've also got a website where you can learn more about it, and it is
puppetmuseum.com.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it, Steve, and your witchiness.
And in the southern wing, you can actually watch Wizard of Oz.
All right, very cool. We're going to have a lot more from the Puppet Museum. That's coming your way in just a bit. Right now, it's Joe V. You're watching Good Day Oregon, first live local. We're off to see the wizard.
I'm melting.
Joe V is visiting a new museum dedicated to the art of puppetry. He joins us live from Southeast Portland with more. Joe, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Kim. We're learning all about the unique tools necessary to create some incredible puppets here at Ping Pong's Pint-Sized Puppet Museum. We'll take you there coming up next on Good Day Oregon, first live local.
We are on the go with Joe, and look out Kermit and Miss Piggy. Today, Joe's learning all about puppets. He joins us live from Southeast Portland, and that's where he's visiting a new museum dedicated to the art of puppetry, not necessarily Muppetry.
No, not quite, Pete, but they handle all sorts of puppetry. Steve Overton is the gentleman behind it. Ping Pong's Pint-Sized Puppet Museum. Its official name. It recently opened here in the Selwood area, but for 20 years, this has been your professional puppet-making studio. You've been creating puppets for various shows, whether it's TV or movies. For instance, this is one puppet you made for a film you shot, right?
Witch Key, that was shot in this building, as a matter of fact. And
people can come here, they can see your puppets, but they can also learn about how you make these puppets, and that's what I find very interesting. Walk us through the basic process. You said a puppet like this took you over 500 hours.
That's correct.
That's amazing.
That's absolutely correct.
Amazing.
All right. Starts with a drawing,
yeah.
But then you go into, here's a brick of plasticine.
Okay.
This is an oil-based clay. It takes me about 16 hours to carve it into the face. This is the actual face of the queen.
So this is all just a freehand kind of
This is
carving.
freehand carving. Okay. We're all carving with little tools like this. Now, if I wanted to make it look like wood, I would leave little divots like this in it to make it look wood carved.
All right.
It's not going to be. It's all carved out of this oil base.
But then once you get your finished clay head there, what do you do?
Then I have to make a plaster mold of this.
Okay.
And some of the heads may take 4 parts. This is a hand mold, and it only took 2 because it's not quite as complicated. It doesn't have nostrils and lips and under chin. But you make a plaster mold, and that can take up to 16 hours, depending on how elaborate it is. Once it's all dry, you pull it apart, take all the clay out. Then you have to take all the oil off, because this is an oil base, out of the plaster. Then you bake this in the oven for 4 hours.
And we're not even done yet. We're not done. We've got another material. This is neoprene.
This is neoprene. You seal the mold back together, totally seal it. So we pour neoprene into the top of the mold. And so this would be the mold, basically, if it had plaster Paris all around it. And we keep topping it off for 8 hours.
And it's much lighter. Eventually you bake it, you paint it, and that all takes hours and hours and hours.
To do.
And then you've got a head. Then you have to build the rest of the puppet.
Right.
And that's why it takes about 500 hours for your best work. The really cool thing is he recently shot a movie here in the studio where, let's show a little bit. It's called The Witch Key.
The Witch Key.
And this was like a full-length feature that you did with these puppets, right?
This is an absolutely full-length feature, and also the DVD has how we made it on it. This is a fantasy for small kids.
It's very cool stuff. You can see it right here at the Pint-Sized Puppet Museum located in Selwood. Their website is puppetmuseum.com. Pete, we've got more. He's going to show us about the art of puppetry coming up in just a bit. Back to you in the studio.
Incredibly artistic, and we look forward to it. Joe, thank you.
Yes, Joe V is learning all about the art and history of puppetry. He is at a new museum that has just opened in Southeast Portland. Hi, Joe.
Hey, good morning, guys. Yes, we've got the world on a string here at Ping Pong's Pint-Sized Puppet Museum, learning all about the art of puppetry straight ahead on Good Day Oregon, first live local.
We're on the go with Joe today. Joe is not pulling our leg, but he may be pulling some strings. Joe is live at a new museum that's dedicated to the art of puppetry, and these are really elaborate, just beautiful creations.
As we said, you know, some of his creations here, Steve Overton's, take hundreds and hundreds of hours to create. You can see him right here at Ping Pong's pint-sized puppet museum, just recently opened here in Portland. One of only 3 dedicated puppet museums in the entire United States.
The entire United States.
And we've got it right here in Portland. Now, you have all kinds of puppets here, but your specialty and what you're really into are marionettes, which are the string puppets.
That's it, right there.
And you've been teaching me how to do it, and these seem like the most complicated puppets to control because there's a million strings you have to pull. It's almost like playing the piano. You have to know what every string does, what every note is, I guess, right?
Or playing the banjo or playing a guitar.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a 16-string guitar there you're trying to play.
Yeah, exactly. So what are the basics on how you control one of these things?
Well, the foot string right here runs all the way up and across the bar with 2 little eyelets. So if you lift up on this, it lifts his right or his left leg. Pull down, it lifts the right.
Okay, so you can make him walk.
So you can
Let me
make
see
him
if I
walk
can
by
make him
doing that.
Make my little. And this is a Robin you made. What did this guy? What's this guy for?
This is Rockin' Robin.
Okay,
he was for a movie shot in New York.
Okay, very nice.
And he's also in Ping Pong's pint-sized cabaret.
And he's expressive. You can make him blink. You can make him talk. Hey, how you doing over there? And that sort of thing. So he's one of your more expressive guys.
Little wave here with the wings.
There you go. And so you've been teaching me how to do this, how to work a marionette. So we're going to try to do that to a little music. His name is Rockin' Robin, so we're going to do that to his namesake song, shall we? We'll see if I can control this thing. Let's see. Little puppet performance for you. I gotta say, this is a lot harder than it looks, ladies and gentlemen. And this is one of many things you can learn about at Ping Pong's pint-sized puppet museum in Selwood. Hey, gentlemen, thank you so much. I appreciate it. They're open Thursday through Sundays, correct? What times can people come out to see the Ping Pong pint-sized puppet museum?
2 o'clock to 8 o'clock at night.
Okay,
Thursday through Sunday.
Very nice. As always, you can learn more at kptv.com, and their website is puppetmuseum.com. So, guys, that's going to wrap it up. I got a lot of respect for you. This isn't sock puppets, folks. This is an art form, and you can learn all about it here. And, guys, check this out. I even learned how to make the Robin here do a Pete Ferryman laugh. Watch this.
You know,
back to you in the studio.
Joe, you did a nice job. I have a marionette.
Want a job?
And they're not easy to use. They're pretty cool.
I'm very familiar with the song, and I know about the wise old owl and the chickadee.
Right.
No squirrels mentioned, though, so I'm curious how that all happened. But that's okay.